Hi everyone, my name is Nella and welcome to Gone Plant-Based. Um, Gone Plant-Based, as you can imagine, is about plant-based diets. And a couple of years ago, I gave up on being plant-based. I'd gone plant-based to help me restore my health. And I gave up because I ended up having a health condition that I think mentally it just made me feel quite helpless. And I became very reliant on my partner, Jackie. And Jackie doesn't follow a plant-based diet, so I felt it was unfair to continue. However, when I had been plant-based, what had actually happened to me was I lost a lot of weight, which I needed. I was in the morbidly, and still am, in the morbidly obese category. And I did lose a lot of weight and I felt a lot better. And more than anything that surprised me was I was able to reduce some pretty hardcore medications that in itself, although they help you at the time and help you get through the day, long term, they're not such a great idea. If you can manage without them, all the better. But I couldn't had I not gone plant-based. But I gave up. And what happened in those 2 years was such a shame, really, because I put all the weight back on and more. I ended up with more health conditions, and I got to a point where I reached rock bottom. So I have an autoimmune condition, I have Parkinsonism, type 2 diabetes, emphysema, and lots of other little stragglers along the way, like we all have our aches and pains. But I have rheumatoid arthritis, and that is causing a lot of problems at the moment. So what happened was at the end of last year, round about the end of October, I had an appointment with my rheumatologist, and I'd been really suffering with pain with rheumatoid arthritis. And he gave me a quick get you out jab of steroids. Plus, I was steroid dependent anyway, and he did a load of blood tests. And the blood test showed that the autoimmune disease activity had gone through the roof. It was much higher than before, so it had quadrupled. So that needed to be addressed. And meanwhile, all the other things were being addressed. But I've been on an awful lot of drugs, and I've become steroid dependent, which is obviously not good. But all the things that are there that say that you will find it hard to lose weight, like being on steroids, you put on weight. Yes, you can. And it's very hard to lose weight on steroids. Being over 60, I'm 62 now. Um, being a woman who's gone through the menopause, yeah, been there, done that one too. All those things. Oh, yes, being inactive. I mean, I'm talking to you from my electric wheelchair. I can't walk very much or very well. So I'm dependent on an electric wheelchair to give me some assistance. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. So all of these factors should mean it's very difficult for me to lose weight. Well, at the end of October, after seeing that rheumatologist and making some big decisions, I thought the only thing I know, because I've hit rock bottom, is to go back to a time where I felt good, where I lost some weight, and where I was able to get rid of some of the powerful medications that I was taking and depending upon. It would be to go back to going plant-based. But the problem I had here, you see, was I was a lot more disabled than I had been a few years back. And how to do it, because you have to do it properly. And for me, it was going whole food, plant-based, no added oil, no added sugar. Everything would come naturally from whole foods. So it would mean a lot of preparation. And Jackie, my partner, is not a plant-based person, and that's absolutely fine. But she very kindly offered to help by cutting up and peeling and preparing some foods with me. So we sat at the kitchen table together and we got going. And I started back with making soups and batch cooking, doing stuff like great big pots of soup in the Instant Pot so I could freeze them. And that would mean on the bad days, I could just get something out the freezer, defrost it, and I could eat. And Jackie could do what Jackie does with her diet, or she could join me. And sometimes she does. She does like some of the plant-based foods, just not all of them. So basically, I got back into going plant-based again. Now, in that first month of being plant-based, thanks to the help that I had with Jackie, I lost over a stone in weight, or over 14 pounds in weight. In fact, I lost even more than that, and it was getting pretty ridiculous. It's now slowed right down, which actually I'm quite relieved about because I feel like I'm adjusting. But so far, and this to date is the end of January, I have lost 17.2 kilos. So I'm nearly at the 3 stone mark. I'm about 3 or 4 pounds off, about 3 pounds off 4 stone. I think it's 39 point something pounds, but already my clothes are baggier and I'm feeling better and I've got more energy. And in that short space of time, I've been able to reduce my steroids from a maintenance dose of 10 milligrams a day down to 7.5 milligrams a day. I'm going basically 1 to 1.5 milligrams per month. In the past, I've been told, oh, yes, just do a couple of weeks, then come down another milligram until you get to 5 and then come and see us because we need to know that, your system hasn't packed up and depends on it 100%. But it never worked. So I just decided I was going to do it slower. And if it means that I get to where I want to be and it's taken longer, so be it, because I've got there. That's what matters. So I'm doing it roughly 0.5 milligram to 1 milligram per month rather than per fortnight. And so far it's going very well. Right. Now, what's this channel about? Well, it is about the change that happens within you when you go plant-based. You make the decision, and it's about being held accountable as well. And I think that's really important. I hope to make videos I don't hope to make videos, but I will make videos if I go through a period where I'm finding it very difficult to stick to this way of eating, where, for example, we had one very recently and I actually put back on 1.5 kilograms. I put back on just over 3 pounds. It's come off again now, but the reason was we had a power cut for 5 days. So everything in my freezer, all the batch cooked foods from whole foods, no added oil, pure plant-based, I couldn't access because we didn't want to defrost the freezer. We did in the end on the last day manage to get a generator and keep it so that it saved it. But we couldn't actually get access to it. And we had no heating, no light, no cooking facilities, apart from one little camping gas ring, which we were short on gas canisters. So we had to save them for the hot water. And it meant that we had to eat out a lot. We ate takeaway. We went to restaurants. And we live in the west of Ireland. And the Irish are fabulous foodies. They make the most incredible food. They have brilliant chefs. But usually there is only one plant-based option on the menu. And it's not cooked the way that I would cook it on a whole food plant-based, no added oil diet. It's usually cooked in oil and it has things in to make it very flavoursome that are not compliant with the way I've been eating. So during that power cut, it did mean that I put back some weight. Now, I knew once we got power again, I was going to actually lose it, but it's a setback, isn't it? It means like 1.5 weeks has gone before I've got back to where I was before the power cut. So there we have it. 1.5 weeks, I'm now back to where I was before the power cut. And and that's how it goes. That's how it's rock and roll. But the other side that I would like to cover in this channel is the psychological side as well, the food psychology, the nutrition. But I do love to cook. And all throughout my college and my teenage years, I have had work cooking. I grew up in a household where everything was cooked from scratch. I've loved cooking. I do love cooking. And I also love growing food as well. Now, I don't do the bulk of that. Jackie does that. And she has a fabulous gardening channel called Gone Potty Gardening. So please do have a look at that and subscribe to Gone Potty Gardening. And that's on YouTube. So we grow as much as we can in the west of Ireland climate, and we freeze what we can for the winter, then when we can't get it fresh. And I love cooking. For me, it's like a fabulous, I'm like the mad scientist. Oh, let's try a bit of this. I wonder how that works with that. Great. I love it. So I will include some of my recipes, what works. I'll also talk about disasters, but I'll also talk about the psychological aspect of, trying to lose weight. When you're in that category of, it's virtually impossible. I mean, I saw an endocrinologist about my diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which I have and is coming under really good control now. But when I saw her, it was out of control. And she took one look at me and she said, "You'll never get off steroids. I can tell by looking at you." Now, she might be right. I'm going to try and prove her wrong. Or I'm going to try and improve things anyway, but I'll try and prove her wrong. And I'm sure that she would love me to prove her wrong. She was a really good person. But at least I can do something about it. I can hopefully get down to the minimum my body can survive on, which would be something. But yeah, I came to this like most of other plant-based people with the movies, Forks Over Knives, that kind of thing, What the Health. I was very inspired by Dr. Brooke Goldner as well, because she reversed her and cured her autoimmune disease, a very serious case of lupus, by going plant-based. She herself is a doctor, and so she knew what was going on, and she knows how this works, and she helps a lot of people now reverse diseases. Dr. Esselstyn and Dr. T. Colin Campbell with their fantastic work that shows that you can reverse heart disease, which is pretty amazing, really. Once you think something's damaged and no good, it's about damage limitation rather than cure. And just a little example, when I first went plant-based, my cholesterol was very high. My blood pressure was very high. And within 6 months of eating a plant-based diet, my cholesterol was normal and I was off all blood pressure medications. So that was before I went type 2 diabetic, of course, but that all happened when I stopped eating plant-based. So it just shows you, doesn't it, that, it really does work. And I've put it to the test. I've put it to the pure test that I've been plant-based. I improved all my bloods and several health conditions. And then I went off and went back to how things were before. Everything came back and a ton more. And now I've gone back to it, and hopefully I'm going to start doing some reversing again soon. Already started with the steroids. There's sometimes stuff there you can't do anything about, but let's see what we can do something about. But I really enjoy this way of eating. It's sorted out a lot of problems. It sorted out a lot of gastric problems as well that I was having. So there you go. We won't go into too much details about that, but that's basically what it's all about. And I'll be adding more videos as we go. I'd love you to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and also subscribe to Gone Potty Gardening as well, where we grow the food. So I look forward to joining you again soon. I want to welcome you here. Thank you for being here. And I catch up with you soon. So it's just bye bye for now.